Hey, what's up, guys? Ryan here. I'm back with a brand new setup, new microphone, new camera. I know a lot of you guys were saying my past videos you like the content, but the video and audio quality weren't great. So I've upgraded that now, and I'm here to talk to you today about Thor. There was just a huge announcement on Thor nodes. They're going to be reducing the rewards that they're paying out rather substantially. So I'm going to talk about that with you, and then I'm also going to tell you about why we might see some further negative price action in the next few days. There's another big event coming up in terms of Thor, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about how I feel about the long-term sustainability of the project. So starting off with the big news, tweet just came out from Loki, community manager for Thor. They are reducing the rewards on Thor nodes rather significantly, and they're also implementing monthly maintenance fees. So it looks like the reward reduction is about 60%, 50-60% for most of these. For instance, on the Thor node, the base Thor node that costs 12.5 Thor to create, the daily rewards now are 0.125 Thor, whereas previously they were 0.33, I believe. So now they're getting closer to those kind of strong block levels. Of course, the difference is strong block is actually creating a real, kind of real node out there. With Thor, this is all just tokenomics. And now we're adding monthly maintenance fees also. They said they wanted to do that kind of like strong block. Again, strong block actually has hardware to maintain. There's no hardware to maintain here, so this is purely just money deposited into the treasury for the health of the project. There's also a 15% claim tax on Thor nodes, 18% on Odin, 12% on Freya, and the Heimdall, the smallest node, there is a 7% claim tax. So we've got reward reduction, claim tax, and monthly maintenance fees. On the Thor node, we're talking 0.33 AVAX a month, so not a ton. Right now it's like 20 bucks in the middle of this dip. When AVAX is higher, obviously that'll be more. The Odin node, your monthly maintenance fee is 1 AVAX. So what did I mean when I said at the beginning of this video that there was potentially a further dump? This price has rebounded pretty quickly. After they announced this, the price was around $220 per Thor, dropped all the way to 148, and it's straight V-shaped recovery back up to 200 right now. We'll see what happens in terms of the price action in relation to this announcement, but I also wanted to warn you guys, and I was in the middle of filming another Thor video to give this warning about a few days from now, on why there may be another dump on January 29th, 2 days from now, when Thor, basically the long and short of it is that the tax period for a lot of the Odin node holders is going to end. So they're going to be able to sell their Thor without taxes. And I know there's a new tax on these new changes, but these new changes don't go into effect for 10 days. So they're going to have a window here where they can sell, the only window they'll have where they can sell their Thor without tax. So essentially, when all those when Ring Financial collapsed and all the node projects were dying, and Thor went down to like $15, Thor, the developers, they made all these changes in terms of reducing rewards, and doing all these different things to regain the support of the community so that their project didn't collapse like Ring. So a lot of people started buying back in now after that, and we saw Thor shoot from $15 to $220 in less than a month. But those people who bought Odin nodes, they weren't quite locked up on their rewards, but they can't claim their rewards without a tax for the first 24 days or so. I don't remember the exact number, but on the 29th is when that number of days from the time where Thor turned around. So all those people who bought Odin nodes when it was cheap, they will be able to sell without paying any tax on it, not federal tax, not state tax, the Thor tax for selling. And of course in 10 days there's going to be a new tax on it. So they've got a 10-day window here where they're sitting on outrageous profits, right? The price of Thor is more than 10x, 15x since they bought. So they're sitting on like all of them, like 70 Thor that are 15x'd, and they have a 10-day window where they can sell them without a tax. So it seems like a pretty reasonable time to predict a lot of selling. That's no guarantee. The community, Loki, the community manager, has spoken out about it a little bit. He said, maybe a lot of them have already sold. They were up so big, they sold in spite of the tax. But another thing that they're doing to try to dampen the effect of that is they're trying to set up OTC sales, over-the-counter sales, where they won't put their Thor onto the market to sell them. Thor, Loki, the devs will work directly with buyers and sellers to pair them together, to transfer those Thor from one to the other without it actually hitting the market and affecting the price action. Whether they can pull that off, I don't know. They've also said they're going to sell some of their claim and sell some of their strong that they invested the treasury in to try to burn some Thor tokens to counteract this. Bottom line, it seems like the developers know there's some pretty big sell pressure coming in on top of today's sell pressure, and they're going to try to do what they can to mitigate it. But if you're looking to get in and the reduced rewards don't scare you away and you miss that drop to 148, you might get another chance because we might have some serious sell pressure here soon. So, with all that said, I want to talk for a minute on how I feel about Thor as a project after these changes. Is it sustainable long-term? And should you buy in? This is not financial advice. Obviously, this is for fun, entertainment. It's fun to own these nodes. But here's my personal opinion on the matter. So the big question with these node projects, right, is are they sustainable long-term? And I've already filmed this segment of the video once before for the January 29th video I was filming right before this announcement came out. And my answer for that at the time was no. In spite of all the changes and whatnot, you're essentially, it's not a Ponzi scheme, right? It's not a Ponzi in the truest definition, but there's Ponzi-nomics, right? Your rewards are paid by people buying behind you. And when those people buy behind you to pay your rewards, now they become a liability too. And the next person has to pay your rewards and their rewards. And now that next person becomes a liability, and the next person has to pay their rewards, the person who saved your rewards, and your rewards. And you can see how this just keeps ballooning. Eventually, you need more than one person buying in to pay all of your rewards. And now all those people become liabilities. And it just grows exponentially. All the people that need rewards. Every time somebody comes in and buys a new node, it saves today, right? It saves all the previous buyers. It says, you get your rewards today. But now they become a liability for the future. That means the liability of people who need to be paid rewards is bigger tomorrow than it was yesterday. It's bigger the day after that. It's bigger the day after that. You don't just need new buyers. You need an ever-increasing amount of new buyers. And that's essentially what Thor said in this announcement. I've already recorded that part of the video. Unfortunately, I hadn't posted it yet. But here's what they said. I'm sure you can all see that we're growing at exponential speed. Our overall node count has doubled in a week, and our price action has been incredible. The Thor team welcomes all the newcomers with open arms and are extremely proud of the community that's being built. This unforeseen exponential growth comes with a new set of bumps for our protocol. Primarily the daily reward emissions. At our current rate of growth, we will quickly hit a point where no return quickly hit a point of no return in terms of long-term sustainability. The daily number of tokens generated will quickly exceed the buying demand, and any revenue generated from our treasury investments will be rendered ineffective. So the first part of that, other than the last sentence, they're basically saying exactly what I just said. As more people buy, their liability for paying rewards becomes greater, and the buying demand can't keep increasing at that rate of speed. So they had to reduce rewards. Now, the second part is another thing I want to talk about. The second part where they said, and the revenue generated from our treasury investments would be rendered ineffective. So that's another thing you've heard a lot about with Thor, right? People, when they say, oh, well, people aren't going to be buying behind you forever, but they say, well, they're taking the money in the treasury and they're investing it, right? They invested in Anchor Protocol, they invested in Strongblock. Recently, they bought Phantom Validator nodes, okay? But you need to look at what these investments are and how they pay relative to the rewards they're paying. So a Phantom Validator node, okay, first of all, the Phantom Validator node things was genius because a lot of people just heard the word nodes and they started thinking their Thor nodes were Phantom Validator nodes. Not a lot of people, some people. And you could see that argument on Reddit and stuff. We're buying Phantom Validator nodes. That definitely not true. So for the rest of the people that understood that wasn't what was happening and that was just an investment from the treasury, you have to consider a Phantom Validator node pays 13% APY. Before this change, Thor was paying 6,000% APY in rewards to its users. So you can see they earning 13% on that treasury doesn't even barely puts a dent in the 6,000% they owe to their users, right? If you pay me $10 and I say I'm going to pay you $1 every day because you paid me $10, I'm going to pay you $1 now every day in perpetuity. At the end of the year, 1 year, I'll owe you $365. You only paid me $10. I don't have $365, and if I took that $10 and I invested in a validator node that earned 13% APY, well, that's great. I would have $11.30, still way short of the $365 that I owe you. And then obviously what makes up the difference is people buying behind you. They pay me $10 to also, until that all fundamentally collapses like it did with Ring. So they had to do something, right? And this is their next move. And I want, backtracking a bit here, I don't think, well, no, I'll get to that in a minute, what I think about Ring. But so then the question is, does this fix things? Because they do say at the end of this announcement, we do not plan to reduce awards after this. It's not a signed contract. They can change their mind, but they don't plan to. So in my opinion, right, what does this reduce the APY to? 2,000% APY or something like that? Maybe 400 or 600% APY. I haven't done math. It's still a lot more than 13% API or whatever they're investing. They invest in an Anchor protocol that's 20% APY. There's still, a big gap to make up there long term. Okay, so is it long-term sustainable? No, still no, I don't think so. Is it medium-term sustainable? Maybe now. Will it last long enough for you to make your money back and make some profit? Maybe. I mean, and if the price action keeps going the way it's been going, especially if you're able to buy lower after that January 29th through, early February dump, maybe. But that's what it is. This is a gamble, right? And people need to understand that when you write the model down on paper, you can see there's no way for it to sustain. No matter how much you keep reducing the rewards, eventually you've got to pay the piper. So I'm not saying don't do it. My goal on this channel is to be a medium level-headed guy, right? I'm not here to be a bear and trash a project. I'm not here to just pump stuff, right? I'm here to give you the medium kind of look, the pros and the cons. So I feel like now you have those. And if you feel like you can enter the project now and make money on it, then do it. If that's what you want to do. If you're looking for sound investment, none of these projects are sound long-term investments. You're not going to be, people talk about passive income. This isn't going to be you're sitting on a beach 10 years from now because your Thor nodes are paying for your lifestyle. If Thor's still around at that point, it's because they're paying such little rewards like pre-search nodes or whatever that it is sustainable. So what does Thor offer? Thor to me offers an active community engagement. What does Thor offer? Why did Thor not die and Ring did? So you look at something like Ring Financial, people call it a rug pull. I don't think it was a rug pull. It was basically Thor with higher rewards, but stupider devs, right? They didn't, when the price started falling, they didn't know how to increase their sustainability without making everybody run for the hills. They tried to make some changes. It just ticked people off more, and the project collapsed. And eventually they started getting death threats. And so they ran away because it was over. Thor turned around and tried. They really tried. And it may be somewhat of a low barometer, but it is something, and it does matter. They brought confidence back to the community that they could maintain this for at least a while longer. And they've done that. And the price has pumped back up. Let's see how much it's changing so fast right now. It's 196. Okay. It actually has leveled off some now. So there are still risks, of course, right? We know who Loki is. He's doxed. He's just a guy. He wasn't part of the original project, Loki, the community manager. He was a guy like you or I, a DeFi guy, had some ideas. They said, hey, he said, you guys need to not be like Ring. You need to be more transparent with the community. Talk to them. Keep them up to date what's going on. So they hired him to do that. But the devs themselves are KYC'd. But they're not really doxed yet. We don't fully know who they are. So there's still risks there. Should you buy Thor? I think they've made some changes that can make it cruise on for quite a while longer, potentially. it's a huge risk. I mean, risk factor 8, 9 out of 10. It's not a safe project, but you know, gambling's fun, and some of these high risk projects pay off, and this definitely could be. It already has paid off handsomely for a lot of people. So that's kind of my thoughts on Thor. I just kind of wanted to get all that stuff out there because there's been a lot of, you know, I see a lot on Reddit and YouTube comments where people are misunderstanding what these nodes are, what phantom validator nodes are, how treasury investments compare to the amount of, you know, liability they have in terms of what they have to pay out daily. And I just wanted to clear all that up, update you guys on what's going on, and give you all the info so you can make your decision, because I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just a guy, and take it from there. And if these node projects are fun for you, the other video I was working on today, there is a new node project. Maybe you can get in early on, like getting in on Thor or Strongbalk early, that I'm going to be releasing a video on in a few hours. It's really fun. It is even more risky than Thor, but if that's your thing, there's the potential for huge gains. So subscribe to my channel if you want to see that video. Make sure you hit that bell, because if you don't hit the bell, you won't get a notification when I post it, and you're going to want to get in as early as you can on this thing if you want to do it. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you're enjoying the new setup, and good luck.